credit side and in the balance sheet on the asset side. Moving further, accordingly, we have a case of outstanding expenses, that is expenses that are due but not paid till the last date of the financial year. In this case, since these expenses belong to the current financial year, they are added or recorded on the debit side of the trading account or P&L account, depending on their nature. If they are unpaid direct expenses, they come on the debit side of the trading account. Otherwise, they appear on the debit side of the P&L account. And then, since these are obligations or debts by the firm, they come under current liabilities on the liability side of the balance sheet. Then outstanding expenses, if appearing only in the trial balance, then they go directly to the balance sheet. So if it is not given as additional information, but in the trial balance itself, you're given outstanding expenses, they will be recorded only at one place, and that will be liabilities side of the balance sheet. Moving to prepaid expenses, again, we have discussed at length that prepaid expenses actually belong to the next financial year, hence, they are reduced from the expenses depending on whether they are direct or indirect, and they are shown as assets in the balance sheet as current assets because the benefit of the same will be um, availed by the firm in the next financial year. Similar concepts, outstanding expense and a related concept is accrued income, that is income which is due but has not yet been received, and therefore this is something again which is related to the current financial year. Income due but not received will be added on the credit side of either the trading account or balance sheet, and then this is the current asset for the firm because against this the firm will be receiving the payment. The services have been rendered and the payment will be received in the next financial year. After that, accrued income we have done, then income received in advance. Again, this is also known as unearned income. This is the income which has been received in the current year but actually belongs to the next financial year, hence reduced, deducted on the credit side of the trading or P&L account and is a liability for the firm क्योंकि पैसा एडवांस में आ गया पर इसके अगेंस्ट सर्विस फर्म ने रेंडर करनी है, hence this is a liability for the firm and comes on the liability side of the balance sheet. Okay, after this we move to another entry which is on depreciation. Now already discussed at length, depreciation is the reduction in the price of an asset due to normal wear and tear usage. Now this is again an expense for the firm. Expense for the firm hence comes on the debit side of the P&L account, and this will also show an impact in the balance sheet. Balance sheet में हम क्या करते हैं? Depreciation is deducted from the respective asset on the asset side of the balance sheet. So if I am providing depreciation on furniture and fixture, then it will be recorded on the debit side of balance sheet, sorry, debit side of the P&L account, and in the balance sheet जो फर्नीचर एंड फिक्सचर का बैलेंस होगा उसमें से हम डेप्रिसिएशन की अमाउंट रिड्यूस कर लेंगे. वी शो द एसेट एट द net amount in the balance sheet. Okay, let's move ahead. We have a look at another adjustment. Now, I'll take up a small part of the adjustment right now. Bad debts has a number of variations. So I'll take up the more simpler so that we can proceed to one practical question, and then we'll continue with the other types of adjustments you can get under bad debts. Now, bad debts are defaults by debts that have gone bad, the debtors who haven't returned back the money due to the firm, and it is a loss for the firm. Therefore, first it appears on the debit side of the P&L account, and then the debtors which appear in the balance sheet. The good debtors are reduced with the amount of bad debts, and the amount of net debtors appears in the balance sheet on the asset side. So bad debts like depreciation, after you pass the entry in the P&L account, then in the balance sheet you show them. The debtors are shown at the net amount, and even the asset, because of depreciation, is shown at the net amount. Okay, so let's go to the question. If any additional adjustment will be there, then I'll explain you there itself. Okay, so there is a provision of bad debts also here, and writing of further bad debts. So I'll explain this here only when we are solving the question. So you can see in the question before you, again, you have some adjustments outside the trial balance, and hence very carefully we need to pass the adjustment entries and prepare the final accounts. Take 1 minute, read the question properly, and then we'll start solving the question. Okay, so whenever we have a question on adjustment entries, what we do is that since there are so many pieces of information in the question, we mark the entries where adjustments need to be done, so that while solving the question, we do not forget any adjustment entry. So we start with the first entry. I'll read the entries, and then we'll be marking how and where we need to make the adjustment. Purchases include machinery purchased on 1st July 2010 for 4,000. Now, purchases are always for raw material. They are never for machinery, because machinery is an asset, and hence this should appear in the machinery account. And wages include 2,000 paid for its erection. Now, again, any wages related to installation of machine become a part of the machinery cost, एंड अपीयर अंडर द मशीनरी अकाउंट, वेजेस में नहीं दिखाते, वो एसेट का ही पार्ट बन जाता है जो भी इंस्टॉलेशन और इरेक्शन एक्सपेंसेस हैं. So this adjustment will have impact in three accounts as marked. Okay, provide for depreciation on machinery at the rate 10% per annum. So again, after you have settled with the amount of machinery, we need to provide a depreciation at 10% per annum. Stock on 31st December 2010 was worth 40925. So we have an entry related to closing stock. So I am just for remembrance sakes, I am marking the opening stock. Also, if you see, the year taken in this question is 1st January to 31st December, because you need to prepare trading P&L account for year ending 31st December 2010. Salaries unpaid, uh, rupees 800. So next to salaries, I make a mark. And rent is paid up to 31st March, which means rent is prepaid for 3 months. After that, write off further bad debts, rupees 400, and create a provision of 5% on debtors for doubtful debts. Now, bad debts and debtors both will see the impact of this entry. Unexpired insurance is rupees 300. So this means that prepaid insurance, unexpired is prepaid insurance, is rupees 300. So I mark it here. So you have these many entries. We will take them one by one. What we do is we start with the preparation of all the formats. So we start with the trading account, P&L account. This is the income statement that continues on the next page as well. And then the balance sheet. And always leave some space for working notes. So you can, these are working notes where you'll be making all the calculations showing the working. So you can keep them at the starting of the question or at the end of the question. I'll refer to the question from the book. So balance sheet, Mr. Ajay. As on 31st December 2010. Trading and P&L account for year ending 31st December 2010. Okay, I'll use a darker shade. It's not very legible. So trading account and P&L account for the year ending 31st December 2010, particulars amount. Let's start the question. So we start with the entries. We always start with the opening stock on the debit side of the trading account to opening stock, and the amount of opening stock is rupees 40,000. Be very careful when you pick values from the question, because sometimes while picking values we might pick the wrong value. So read the question very carefully, check out the values very carefully. Okay, next, the first entry in the trial balance is of purchases and sales. And what we see is that we have an adjustment related to purchases. So this means that the amount will be adjusted in the inner column, and then we'll move to the outer column with the final balance. So purchases appear at 1,30,295. Also, some returns are given. Now, I'll quickly show you in the question. You are given normal value of returns, while it is not mentioned whether these are returns outward or they are returns inward. So these are two values that are given to you, and you need to identify which value is return inward, which is outward. So जो debit value है, that is your sales return inward coming in the business, and the credit value means that these returns are credited, they are going out of the business. So these are purchases return. उसी तरह जब एक कॉमन एंट्री है परचेजेस एंड सेल्स, हाउ टू आइडेंटिफाई व्हाट इज परचेज व्हाट इज सेल्स. Purchases are always debited, they are expenses. Sales are always credited, they are incomes for the firm. So जो 1,30,295 है, that is the amount of purchases. Similarly, the entry for डेटर्स एंड क्रेडिटर्स आपको साथ साथ दिया हुआ है. तो डेबिट बैलेंस डेटर्स का है, क्रेडिट बैलेंस क्रेडिटर्स का है. Then another entry which is given like this is discount. Now, if we are allowing a discount, it is an expense for the business. We are giving discount expense for the business. तो ये जो 800 है, ये बिजनेस ने डिस्काउंट दिया है, और बिजनेस को जो डिस्काउंट मिला है दैट इज 530, the amount of discount received by the business. So if entries are given side to side in debit credit, this is how you identify which is the amount of purchases, sales, discount received, allowed, so that they are put at the respective place correctly. So purchases we have identified. We have also identified that we have a purchase return of 195 rupees. So I write down minus returns 195. Now there is an adjustment related to purchases which says that the machinery purchase has been included here. So I will reduce this by the amount of machinery. And in this question, this amount is 4,000 rupees. So now, no further adjustments in the amount of purchases, and I can calculate the net amount of purchases now. That comes to 1,26,100. 126,100. This is the final amount of purchases. If there is any confusion, any doubt, you can ask. By that time, I will make the next entry, which is by sale. The amount of sales is 1,80,500. You also have returns. So I write down the returns as 2,400. No other adjustment related to sales. So this is 1,78,100 as the amount of net sales. Next entry, cash in hand, cash at bank. Let's move to the balance sheet. So here I write down, because this is a current asset, let's keep it to the lower end of the balance sheet. On the asset side, cash in hand is 500, cash at bank is 9,500. Stock, we have passed the entry. Now wages again have an adjustment, because the amount of erection of the machinery has been included in wages. So what I'll do is, side by side, I will write down the entries under the machinery balance also, so that we don't forget when we are passing this entry. So here, because machinery is a fixed asset, it will appear at the starting and under the assets. Now machinery balance is rupees 16,000. I will add additional machinery 4,000, and the wages of 2,000 will also be added here. So wages 2,000. अब इसके बाद, once we are through with all the adjustments, I will write the final amount of machinery in the amount column. Moving back to wages, the amount of wages is 22,525. 22,525 less installation. So this is the final amount of wages. After that, returns have already been considered at their respective places. Now repairs, if it would have been mentioned that these are machinery repairs, or some repairs related to factory, they would have come under the trading account. Now nothing is mentioned, so I write down the repairs under the P&L account. So let's keep this as the ending of the trading account. So 2 repairs, and the amount is 1,670. Next entry, debtors and creditors. Again, there is an adjustment here. So, what I'll do is I'll take this adjustment at the end because I'll show you proper working of this adjustment. By that time, I will move to discounts, discount received, and discount allowed. After this, you also have entry related to capital. So capital is coming in the balance sheet. Capital again will see a lot of adjustment. Uh, if there are any drawings, they will be deducted, and profit, if any, will be added. Loss, if any, will be reduced from the capital. So I write the amount of capital 37,500 in the inner column. I'm leaving some space after this. I'm also recording the amount of creditors here, somewhere here, because creditors do not see any adjustment in our question. So creditors is 30,305. Moving ahead, you have a loan, and then you also have some interest on the loan. So what I'll do is I write down the amount of loan. Now I move to the working notes. Pay attention here. Now, in loan is actually an implicit adjustment. Now you are also studying economics. What is the meaning of the term implicit? Can anyone tell me? What do we mean by implicit? Implicit cost करते हो आप economics में. Implicit is something which is no one never heard this term. Anyone? Okay, so implicit is something that needs to be taken care of without it being shown rightly or without it being shown properly. So implicit cost, जैसे हम कहते हैं, if the owner is bringing his own funds in the business, then there is an implicit cost involved. Had these funds been taken on loan from the bank, that cost of say 10% जिस पर आप लोन लेते, that is the implicit cost of funds brought in by the owner. तो यहाँ पर भी जब भी लोन की एंट्री होगी, you have to be very careful that there is some implicit adjustment. You need to take care of the interest on loan. In our case, we are given two pieces of information. Loan at the rate 12% per annum is 20,000, whereas the interest on loan is rupees 600. Now you can see one thing that there is no date for as to when this loan has been taken. So what we assume is that this loan was taken at the starting of the year, and for one entire year the interest on the loan comes to rupees 2400. Interest paid is 600. Now this means that the Outstanding interest is rupees 1800. So this is something which you have to calculate on your own, seeing the rate of return on the rate of interest on the loan. अगर ये piece of information नहीं दी होती तो पूरा 2400 आपका outstanding interest होता. So this you need to record. So we move back. The interest on loan is an indirect expense for the business. So I write it here to interest on loan 600 plus outstanding interest, which is 1800, and total 2400 will come in the outer column of the P&L account. Is this clear? Any doubt, any problem in this? Any question you can ask? By that time I'll move to the next entry, which is on salaries. Now salaries are for 8,000 rupees, but there's an adjustment that salaries unpaid 800. This means, okay, outstanding interest also needs to be recorded here. Loan 20,000 plus outstanding interest, because outstanding interest is a liability. So the final amount of loan 21,800. For salaries, I go back to the P&L account to salaries 8,000 plus outstanding salaries 800. So the final amount of salaries for the current year will be 8,800. Every adjustment should come at minimum of two places. This means that in the balance sheet now, outstanding salaries will be shown as rupees 800. So after this, you are given postage and telegram. Again, indirect entry, indirect expense for the firm to postage. Rupees 800. Octroi. Octroi is a direct expense. Octroi will come in the trading account. So, Octroi rupees 500. Insurance. Insurance has some prepaid element, so I write to insurance the amount 1000, while in the question you are given that unexpired insurance is 300. It means that this is prepaid insurance for the current year. The expenditure is 700. Prepaid insurance will be an asset for the firm, so I write down prepaid insurance here. The amount of prepaid insurance is rupees 300. Charity. Charity again is an expense for the firm. Since it is given in the trial balance, it will come at one place only. So to charity 125. Rent also has an adjustment. So let's go to working notes first. So this was our first working note. We come to the second working note on rent. Now rent की amount आपको 2,000 rupees दी हुई है, but you are given that this rent is paid up to 31st March 2011. It means कि इसमें जो 9 months का rent है that is for the current year and 3 months rent is prepaid. So I will calculate the amount and 3 by 12 into 2000, this gives me how much? I'll just calculate. So 3 by 12 into 2000 will be rupees 400. And this 1600 is rent for the current year. So my prepaid rent is asset, current asset rupees 400. Next page where you see the entry will be the P&L account to rent 2000 minus prepaid rent 400 and 1600 is the rent for the current year. Yes, Soumya.
Ma'am, I think it should be 500.
500. I'll just check. 3 by 12 करके 500. Yes. So 500. Thank you. And this amount will be 1500 then. Okay. Thank you. So let's move ahead. We move to the next entry, which is machinery, and then we are through with the adjustments. What I'll do is we are left with the adjustment on debtors and machinery. I'll solve that in the working notes and then we'll record them in the income statement and balance sheet. So coming here first to the adjustment on machinery. तो मशीनरी का जो बैलेंस दिया हुआ है आपको दैट इज 16,000 प्लस एडिशनल जो परचेज हुई 4,000 प्लस जो इंस्टॉलेशन एक्सपेंसेस हुए हैं दैट आर 2,000. So one thing we know is that our machine today has a cost of 22,000. Okay. One thing is this. Second thing is that you are given provide for depreciation on machinery at 10% per annum. Now, this machine was with us for full year, but this machine was purchased on 1st July, which means as per the calendar year, which is what we are using here in this question, since we are preparing the balance on the balance sheet on 31st December, this means that for us, this machine, 6,000 worth of machine was with us for half year. तो अब 16,000 पर तो आप पूरे ईयर का डेप्रिसिएशन दोगे बट जो 6,000 है उस पर आप 5% डेप्रिसिएशन ही चार्ज करोगे. इट मीन्स हाफ ईयर का ही डेप्रिसिएशन यहाँ पर चार्ज होगा. So this is 1600 and this is 300 and the total amount of depreciation will be 1900. Please have a look. From the date of purchase of additional machinery, we charge the depreciation for it, and that total depreciation now on the machine comes out to 1900. So this we have to show very clearly in our working notes. I will move back to the first to the P&L account. There I will record to depreciation. You should show that old machinery 1600 and adding the amount for new machine plus depreciation on new machine 300 and I show 1900 in the outer column. So this is the entry of depreciation in the profit and loss account. Next, we need to show this effect in the balance sheet also. So here, what I'll do is I'll directly reduce the balance of machine by rupees 1900. I get 20,100 as the final balance of machine. This is how we do the adjustment of machinery. So please have a look. Any doubt at any of the places? Is this clear to everyone? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I move to the next entry, which is on debtors. But one thing that we have left is the closing stock. तो एक बारी closing stock की entry कर लेते हैं. Again दो जगह पर आना है closing stock. आपका यहाँ पर आएगा बैलेंस शीट में. आई एम राइटिंग इट हेयर देन बिकॉज आई हैव हैविंग स्पेस हेयर. क्लोजिंग स्टॉक डायरेक्टली गिवन 40,925 and it will also appear in the trading account by closing stock. Okay. Now we come to the entry on debtors. Very carefully, let's see how this entry needs to be passed. Okay, now debtors, you people have a class at 10:30.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So